What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shan Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
Chris Abacan.
What's going on, everybody?
And Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on? So welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall. So Monday and Tuesday, we have our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP, where I sit down and I talk to somebody who is an entrepreneur, a mover and shaker, a person who is doing great things within the community. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from CBSNews.com. It's written by Megan Cerullo. I hope I said that right. Cerullo. Craigslist founder Craig Newmark makes $100 million cybersecurity pledge, right? So I love to see this, right? We talk about investment going into cybersecurity and things of that nature. How people need to put their money where their mouth is, right? Like a lot of people can say whatever, but this guy's pledging $100 million, right? And so Craig Newmark, right, who's the founder of Craigslist, right? He can't get, prostitution off the site, but he can invest, this $100 million or whatever it is from Craigslist, you know what I mean? But he's a philanthropist, right? It's going to donate $100 million to safeguard from potential future cyber attacks, right? So he's going to break it up. It's two different, I don't want to say investment types, but it's 50 million, if I remember correctly. I believe it was 50 million for actual cybersecurity, right, and education, right, is what he was talking about. I believe is what it was, and then the other 50 million. I'm trying to find it here.
I think to protect
infrastructure and power grids and cyber attacks, right. And then it was what's the other 50 million for? Jump in.
Education, 50 million for education.
Yeah, training for it. So love to see it, right? Like it's a lot of money that goes into this, but this is like a lot of these rich philanthropists that are out there. This is one of those guys that's like, hey, I'm going to leave my money for philanthropy, right? Like if he has children, I'm not sure. He's not one of those that's like, I'm going to leave my fortune to them, right? A la Warren Buffett, Daniel's, nemesis, or Bill Gates, you know what I mean? Like they're not planning on leaving their money, to their kids or anything like that. Like they're trying to put it into something, and this is what he's deciding he's gonna do it for. And he brings up, there's a good point brought up in this article, right, where they talk about how we've had two major ones just in 2024. We've had two major attacks. We had the healthcare one back in February, right, and then we had CBK. Was that the name of the one with the car dealerships and whatnot? Am I saying that right? Is it CDK? CDK, Delta. Okay, CDK, right. Was the one with, those were two major ones we had that had far-reaching effects in 2024 so far, right? So it's one of those things where, yes, putting this money behind it is a great thing. Now, how it gets implemented, that's a little bit of a worry for me, right? Because he talks about it in the article about how he's a you tell me what the cause is, I give you the money and let you do whatever you want to do with it, right? So that can leave some room for mismanagement, right? Like you could have someone that comes up in an organization and like, you guys remember when we used to do, what was that donation thing we used to do? CDC? Was it called CDC? That we used to donate? CFC. That's what it was. Combined Federal Campaign. Combined Federal Campaign. In the Combined Federal Campaign, they used to have a booklet that came with it, right? To where you could look at what you were donating to, but they also had a percentage in there on how much was going into overhead, right? So like you could look at it, and some of these causes, you're like, man, that's a good cause. But when you look at it, and 50% of the money you're donating is going into the overhead of paying, all these different people and whatnot, instead of going directly into the cause, it may steer you away a little bit, right? So it doesn't seem like he's going to get his hands in that to be like, I want to make sure that at least 90% of what I am donating here is going into the actual cause, right? So it can leave a little bit of room for that. That worried me a little bit when I read that in the article, but it's still good that $100 million is going to go to cybersecurity, right? So, but Daniel, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Unmute myself first. Yeah, I wish there was more people like Craig Newmark of the world. Like, where's the Amazon guy? Where's Warren Buffett at? Like, these guys got deep pockets.
Doubling down, Warren.
He says the Amazon guy. He says the Amazon guy. He doesn't name him, but then he names Warren Buffett.
These guys got deep pockets. Kindle got that kind of money, and he's, $100 million ain't nothing to sneeze at. And the epicenter of him doing this was because let me read it out here. He was retired, and he expressed concerns over the increasing frequency of cyber attacks, both at corporate level and in his household with connected devices. And like, I wish more people that had that kind of power and outreach did things like this because they were concerned about it. That's kind of amazing. Like, I can't remember someone in his position doing this in a long time, at least for cybersecurity. I'm going to read more positive articles because I tend to focus on the negative, as when we talk week to week, I'm always like the great clown of the group. But this is it's a fresh breath of air, and hopefully, especially for the infrastructure part, critical infrastructure for power grids, I'm always talking about like integrated systems that control power. Like, these kind of systems specifically are designed with how technologies run the older ones. And that's always like, we'll talk about another article coming up where older technology can still be used in a very dangerous way. And that's, after the Colonial Pipeline, those kind of like attacks are always in the back of my mind, talking about older integrated systems. So I think it's going to be money well spent, and hopefully it helps protect that infrastructure and bring it to the next level, wherever that. But hopefully one day we'll become philanthropists and we can throw money around too and help the industries out. But what do you think, Chris? What you got on this one?
I mean, first thing that I thought was, hey, Mr. Newmark, other side of the firewall is definitely a potential recipient from a philanthropic standpoint, as we do provide cybersecurity news, the latest and greatest to our listeners, right? So, helping us expand our reach, could potentially is in line with your mission. But I'm kidding, or maybe not. But
I'm not kidding.
Ryan, definitely reach out to Mr. Newmark regarding this, after the podcast. It's awesome that we're seeing this type of activity in the philanthropic, in the philanthropic scene, right? Because you've got like Mackenzie Scott, right, who's Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. She's donating obviously lots of money to education, right? But with the education piece, I think the cyber education is really crucial. One example, right? So in the apartment complex that I used to live in, right, the internet went out, right? Everybody complained. Everybody's like, I can't work from home, blah blah blah. There you go. There's a cyber incident. Think about it, if that could happen to the regular person, right? Like even though it was like a planned outage, right? Imagine an unplanned outage during any part of your workflow, working day. And I think I'm not trying to say fearmonger cybersecurity, but rather it's awareness and training of it. Because once people realize how insecure some of their own practices are, randomly installing an IoT device you got on Amazon that's tied to Chinese freaking data collector organizations, right? There's a lot that comes into play into that, right? So the fact that there is some type of investment planned, right? Pledge is just like a promise. It hasn't been invested just yet, but it is pledged. It is a step in the right direction. And what's interesting to me is specifically this one is the infrastructure aspect. Like 50 million, it's towards infrastructure. That would have to go to, I would imagine, power, local governments. So there's I think a lot more investment that can be done than just 50 million when it comes to infrastructure. You're talking, multiple, like nine figures of investment, right? And I think this is a good start. Highlighting this is always a good thing, right? And really, that's really all I got for this article.
Is it on me?
Yeah, over to Ryan. Over to Ryan for his sales pitch to Mr.
There it
Craig.
is. The other side of the firewall. So definitely check us out throughout the week. Again, Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. Fridays, everything else. Movies, books, games, all that good stuff. And then we just have a lot going on in the background, right? So check out ramcyber.io. Nothing there just yet, but that's going to be the landing page where everything will be anchored and tied in. And then we have more projects coming up for the podcast. So we just did one with the Cyber Coffee Hour. So check that one out with Dr. Joseph Burt Miller and Alfredo Nash. So really good conversation about MasterCard and how they're about to change the game when it comes to intel and oversight. So hit that up. But in the article, so I'm just like, how do I get on this list? How do I get Ram Cyber on this list? So the core of civil defense, because he's doing civil defense as well as the other networks and groups, Aspen Digital, Global Cyber Alliance, and Consumer Reports. And then he's also put money into, since 2022, significant investments in Black Girls Hack. So shout out to Rebecca Skeet. She's the COO over there. We had her on the show not too long ago. Really good episode about all their efforts and what they're doing, but also Girls Who Code, Girl Scouts, Vets in Tech, Consortium of Cyber Clinics, Ransomware Task Force, and Shadow Server. So he's definitely putting his money where his mouth is. And then if you go to the website, he has a portal if you want to also help and invest, and you have your own philanthropic, there you go, goals. You can also put your money through his foundation as well. So I think it's really cool. I just want to know where I can sign up. Where can I sign up so I can pitch what we have going on over here?
Is it direct? Is it directing over to Craigslist? You got to go over to Craigslist to find this.
No,
I was like, maybe he's just trying to get eyes back on the site, because like Craigslist is damn near the dark web now, man. Some of the stuff going on over there, man, it's crazy.
Said he left in 2018, so he's been gone for a while.
He hasn't been involved with the company for a while.
And now he's just, because it says net worth is like, well, net worth is never, like, he's probably worth more than this. When it says 1.3 billion, right? So 100 million, still a substantial lot of money. But if he's putting it out there, just like Bill Gates and Melinda Gates do and all that other stuff, where it's like, we're going to put some money up and our friends are going to put some money up, and then that just helps to build. So I think it's a great effort, and I can't wait to see what spins out of it, right? When it comes to cyber defense, it's very patriotic. Coming from a different perspective, because usually these things happen when war kicks off, right? That's when everybody gets like the drum beat of war kicks off. Everybody's like, yeah, America. But he's doing it from like, yeah, we're getting attacked every day. Like, you guys are just not associating it with the same type of thing. It is a war right now with cyber.
So I'm curious, do you think current events kind of, I don't know, because it's not like he just recently started doing this, right?
Yeah, he's been doing it for a few years.
He's been doing it for a few years, but do you think like the announcement of it being such a large amount is sparked by recent events of things that are going on, when it comes to cyber? Stay tuned, everybody. We may jump into this a little bit, but do you think
maybe, or it could just be a coincidence, because like every year we talk about, every year is getting worse. So it could just be that triggered it, right? Like him caring about the numbers, because he was a CEO of a pretty large company at that point. He might just be like, okay, we're bleeding money, right? Billions of dollars, trillions of dollars globally. Someone needs to do something, especially here in the States, because that's where he decided to plant his flag, right? So I think it could just be a coincidence. But I mean, like in quotes, tomorrow's story also shows how, like this is definitely a need is out there, because things are just becoming more advanced, right? Using old tech to do new things in a detrimental way. So I can definitely see that being a thing as well. So next year might be 200 million, right? You might might have to put more money in the pot. But yeah, definitely continue to check us out. Hopefully he's listening to the podcast. He's an avid listener. He's like, oh, they want money? I didn't even know. I didn't think they need my money. Here's some money. Here's some money to help develop your website. But definitely continue to check us out. Hit us up on all the websites that go by our name: The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP on all the social media platforms. The website is ramcyber.io, and you can find me on LinkedIn under Rai Security Guy. Where can we find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Chris Abacon, last name spelled A Bacon.
And you, Daniel?
On LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.